I'm Lauren Feldman. Welcome. Thank you all for joining us for this very special Owner RX 21 Hats collaboration. I feel like a little like I'm introducing Houdini here. Alan is going to perform a magic trick and show us all, demonstrate right before our eyes how to do this stuff with AI that we've all been reading about and kind of believing it's true, but kind of wondering as well. So, without further ado, Alan, I'm going to turn it over to you to
Cool.
show us where the world is headed.
Awesome. Thanks, Lauren. You'll see what I'm doing and be like, wow, that's it. So when a magician reveals his tricks, it's usually kind of a letdown. But and we're recording this, so Lauren can send this out, so people can go over it in slow motion if they want to. And I'm probably going to show you the stuff. It's going to be not going to take that long to do. But I'll probably show you a couple other features surrounding it that might be enhancements to what we're doing.
Alan, if I
So
could interrupt for a
yeah,
second, I just want
sure.
to point out if it doesn't take that long, that's great because I'm sure you're going to get questions and we
Yeah,
want to leave as much time for questions as possible.
sure. Yeah. Um, so basically, I think probably most people have been doing ChatGPT stuff, right? We all kind of did that. Um, and ChatGPT is interesting, does cool stuff. Pretty soon it's going to do naughty stuff too, so that'll be cool and everything. But like, it's limited in its capabilities, and it's really limited because it's a chatbot, and we're going to talk about that today. But really, what we want to do is get it out of the chatbot, and the purpose of doing that is so that we can go from doing advanced Google searches to really delegating work and executing work, right? And that's where the real power of AI for at least, businesses is going to come from. And that is totally your ability to do that now has gone way up, and it's about to go even farther up. So we're going to take a look at something called Claude Cowork today. So you only need to pay $20 a month to do this. Well, $20 plus there's some web scraping services that you can pay for to get better contacts for the marketing part we're going to do. So it's up to you how accurate you want your data to be and how good you want it to be. But the basic Claude is $20 a month for the basic model, and you can download the free app and plug it in, and you're good to go. So that's all we really need, and we're going to connect it to a service called Apollo. So that's a big database of every email in the world. You're in there, everybody's in there. It's, every time you sign up for something and it's free, it's probably going to Apollo. They're just a big data broker, right? And so you can get a certain number of leads from them free. So that's why I'm saying it's only $20 if you want to do the very basic, right? And that's going to give you a few every week kind of thing. But it's like, I think it's $60 a month, and you get a lot more. I'd have to go look specifically what the limitations are. And then, we're going to plug it in using Gmail. We're also going to talk about some services that you might want to use instead of Gmail for various reasons. And then we're going to track it in Google Sheets, or the reality is you can track it in HubSpot or some other place, right? So we're going to kind of show you a basic version of how to build like a little lead system like this. It's basically an introduction to learning how to use Claude Cowork. And then we can show you options for like, gold plating the process and making it better. So with that, we are going to, let's see, I think yeah. Okay. So I said we're going to search Apollo for a VP of operations or business owners at professional services firms with 20 to 200 employees in the Mid-Atlantic region. But if there's somebody here who has like a specific type of ICP, ideal customer profile, I'm happy to use somebody else's. Is there anybody with like a unique set of people that they would like to target? Anyone?
We can do mine.
Okay. What is it?
I'm an insurance agent, so we can do married multi-car homeowner with good credit in the Orange Park, Florida area.
Uh,
Is that doable?
uh, it's probably not going to be have all that. Orange Park, Florida, do you say?
Yeah.
Uh, I doubt Apollo is going to have all that,
Okay.
but there are other services that do. You're just going to have to pay more for it, right? So
Mhm.
Clay is a service that we're going to take a look at. So we'll try this and see what happens, right?
Okay.
Okay, so I captured that. So what we're going to do is download. If you are going to try to duplicate this, you're just going to download the Claude app, right? So it's just a desktop app out there. It's available for Microsoft or Windows and Mac. This process tends to run a little better on a Mac, just because of the way the operating systems were architected. But it is available on Windows, and it has some trouble from time to time. It's getting better as they develop it. And so this version of the app was only released in January. Um, and basically, what happened was that Anthropic, who's a company that makes the Claude model in this app, realized over Christmas that all the people using all their people internally were starting to use their Claude Code product. So about a year ago, uh, Anthropic released Claude Code, which is a way to do coding on your computer or in the cloud or wherever. This is what we use every day. I use it for knowledge work, not just coding. But it's a very capable model and like can get people into trouble because it can have access to like everything on your computer, everything in the cloud, and like the messages it gives you. It asks you to approve everything, but the messages can be highly technical. They're in little script. It's like harder to like read, right? So they looked at it as just a coding tool for people building software. But what they realized is that all these people at Anthropic who worked in marketing, ops, back office stuff, were using Claude Code to like, like organize their receipts, to build PowerPoints, to do a data analysis, all this different stuff that wasn't coding. And so they were like, hey, Claude Code wasn't like really designed for that, but it works. It's really good. And they realized it's literally over Christmas break in 2025. 10 days later, using Claude Code, they built Claude Cowork, which is like a way, it's the same model. It's using the same Claude models, which are listed here, where the little down arrow is. If you pay $20 a month, it's going to default you to the Sonnet 4.6 model, which is very good, but it's a little less capable than 4.6. I have the max plan, as you can see down here, where my name is. So it defaults me to 4.6. But the reality is, for almost everything you're going to do, Sonnet's perfectly fine. So they both came out, I don't know, like 3 weeks ago. So they're pretty new. So literally, they released this, programmed it in 10 days, and released it to the world. And then about 3 weeks later, it came to Windows, and they've been developing it ever since. And we could all roll our eyes and be like, oh, that's not a big deal. But the reality is, Microsoft just did a partnership with them because they realized that Cowork was like basically the death of Microsoft if it really took off. And you guys are going to be getting I think in the end of the month, it's going to be in the research preview. But by May, they're going to be marketing to you something called Copilot Cowork. And it's essentially a skin that Microsoft's putting over Cowork, which you're going to see here, to have it available in their suite because they couldn't recreate it themselves. So I think what we're seeing is Anthropic has just pulled ahead in business applications far beyond everyone else. They're in front of Google, they're in front of Microsoft, they're in front of OpenAI for work. Google's trying, I don't know what Google's doing. They got nothing. Like the Google Work Suite is pathetic with AI right now. So anyway, so when you download it, you're going to see the old chat interface. And like this doesn't work that well anymore. The reality is, they kind of gave up on the chatbot idea when OpenAI took off. They kind of ceded that territory. So this will have some restrictions on it. It's not all that capable. So it's fine. So if you're doing regular Google searches, this is fine. But you got to get out of this interface to do anything real. And that's the whole key is like, if we go over here to code, if I want to run this on my computer, I'm going to have to download a bunch of packages, a bunch of other things. Makes it complicated. People get scared. But if you just go to Cowork, it's a lot easier, right? So first thing you're going to do this system is download the Claude desktop app. You got to get the new one. If it's an older one that you just open, it won't have the Cowork tab. So you go on the web and download it from the Claude site. Don't actually. I don't know what the Microsoft App Store version is yet. Before it wasn't allowing you to download the Cowork. You just have to go to the Claude site and kind of. But it's probably changed since then. And what you're going to see here is just like a little chatbot interface, like you do over here in chat. But the difference is this one has the ability to manipulate files on your computer. So the good part is it's going to keep that, what it's going to work on, to one folder at a time. So you can come here and if you want, just create a test folder on desktop to do this with. So if anything gets screwed up, it's just in that test folder. That's the only thing that's going to get hurt, right? I'm using it on my Google Drive, which I have synced to my desktop. So the web, the thing in the cloud, my Google Drive in the cloud is synced to my Google desktop. I use that here. So you're going to need it attached to some kind of files on your computer to do a lot of this stuff. So for this purpose, what we're going to do is once we have this open, we have it connected to something on our desktop. How we're going to automate this marketing system is we're going to bring in what are called connectors. So that's just my ability that allows Claude Cowork to go work with and communicate with other programs that I have. So I do that by going to this plus button, and I've got all these different things I can do. I can upload a file or photos just like in chat. I can work on projects. Those are Claude projects that you create mostly in the chat window, so it's not as relevant here. But here's where we want to go first. And we're going to look at plugins after, right? But first, connectors. Okay, so when you go, these aren't all going to be on, right? Mine are turned on. So you see here, I have Apollo. All right, so how do I get there? I go to connectors, manage connectors. And I'm going to go here, and I'm going to say browse connectors. And now I can search for almost anything. So I can connect in my Gmail, which is connected, my calendar. If I use Canva, I can have that, all these different things, right? I have my HubSpot linked in. But if I want to do this with searching for names, I need this Apollo thing, right? So I'm going to search for Apollo. Here it is. I click on it. If I disconnected it, all right, it's going to remove it. So let me just reconnect it to show you. It's just going to authenticate me into my Apollo account. So I'll just open up something here. I say, hey, authorize. Sometimes it'll ask you for like a passkey, but in this case, I was already there. Sorry. So now Apollo is connected. So now when I go back to this, where I'm going to search for these Orange Park, Florida people, it now has the capability of opening up Apollo. And probably what I'm going to do is say, hey, search Apollo for this. Now, the reality is it's supposed to just know that and figure it out, but that's sort of a weird middle ground now. It doesn't always figure out it's supposed to use a connector, so it's better to tell it, right? And then if I want to store those somewhere. So we set a Google Sheet, right? But I'm going to do it in HubSpot because I want my contacts in HubSpot. So I can go in, manage connectors, search for HubSpot, turn on HubSpot, just like I did with Apollo, right? Or if I want to do Google Sheet, I have one kind of side thing to learn is each one of these connectors has different sets of capabilities. And some people are more comfortable letting them do more things, and some people aren't. So Google has been pretty cautious, and Anthropic's been cautious with your productivity software. So one thing is it actually doesn't let you write to a sheet. It lets you read sheets, but not write them. So if I go in here and I say browse connectors and I say Google Sheets or Google Drive, sorry, it's going to say connect your Google Drive to Claude so you can search through your can you mute there? Whoever was talking. Connect your Google Drive to Claude so you can read through your documents, search through your documents, read files, help you work with files. Claude can find specific documents even when you don't remember your name, blah, blah, blah. But it can read, analyze the contents, convert files to different formats, blah, blah, blah. The one thing it doesn't say is it can create and change files. So if we want to use the sheet, we're going to have to do something else because this is just like what Google has determined we're allowed to do with its connector. So there's two ways around it. One is I installed Claude in Chrome, right? So you can just go here and connect. You can get a browser extension to Chrome, and then it opens Sheets in Chrome, and it can do it. Or a little more complicated is I can connect Zapier, right? So I can go in. I go into the connectors here, search for Zapier. It'll come up. Then I hit connect, and it'll connect me to Zapier. Allow. Okay, so now I'm connected to Zapier. And there's a whole way I can go through Zapier. And here's all the things I can do with it, right? Blah, 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 blah. So the way that I'm going to do that is, I think I have to do this on the Zapier side. Let's come back to that because it's more complicated. So the issue you're going to have with some of these things is that it's up to them what they're going to let you do. So you're going to have to find some workarounds sometimes. So for this one, I did Claude in Chrome. That's going to help me do the sheet. But in other cases, you're going to have to hook up something like Zapier. And then there's a way to configure Zapier, and we'll go to that later. But for this, I want to get to the actual demo here. All right, so we have Apollo connected, and now I have HubSpot connected, so I can put all the people in HubSpot. So let's see if I can find this kind of person. All right, so use Apollo to use, let's say, the Apollo connector to find Mary. No. Yeah. Sometimes it can take a little while. So live demos are always tough with Claude because it can take a little while to do it. Now, for you, Roderick, there's another. It's more expensive. It's called Clay, which I have hooked up. That's a little bit better for finding. It'll search like 60 different databases. trying to find different characteristics of people. You're going to pay. So like if Apollo is like 50, $60 a month, Clay is more like 180 a month. But if you have these very specific people, but it says, yeah, so it says, hey, I found 14,000 people in Orange Park, Florida, but I can't filter by those customer attributes you're looking for, right? So we might go to Clay for that because it's not going to be able to find that kind of data. So if we go back to like, all right, let's look at what I was saying, PowerPoint. All right, let's try this one. I know this one works because I did it. So I probably want to get out of that, just do a new thing. Say, all right, so I'm searching Apollo for the VP of operations or business owners at professional services firms of 20 to 200 employees, mid-Atlantic region. That's like dead on sort of what Apollo's good at. And again, you can hook this in and get free, a certain amount of this free. Now, what is it showing? It's showing us the progress of what it's doing. It's got a working folder, which we're actually not using right now. So we don't really need that. And actually, if I wanted to, if I have Google Drive or OneDrive, I don't even need the connection to, like I was showing you through Zapier or Chrome in the browser, because I can just go, I can down every, OneDrive, SharePoint, Google Drive, have a desktop version that syncs back to the cloud. So I could just work out of a sheet here, that a working folder that I put in the, okay. So what it's showing me, I'll show you that when we go back, is it's saying, hey, I found all these people, right? I found 2,461 total matches. Here's a snapshot of the first 25 results. Okay, so what I would do here is start saying like, all right, I only want Pennsylvania, or trying to narrow down the number of people you're contacting. Or it's like, hey, I'm going to email all these people over time, so I want to get all of them. And you notice what it's giving me is like an initial and no way to contact them, right? So it gives me a little bit of information, but not enough. And so the vast majority, 23 of 25, have verified emails, blah, blah, blah. So this you can kind of get free, and you can get a little bit of the additional information free. But when you pay, you're paying for credits to enrich the opportunities, right? Which is just a way of getting their full names, emails, and phone numbers. Okay, so I'm going to say enrich the top 10. And it's going to go into the Apollo database. None of this is Cowork. It's just like Apollo's system, right? And it's going to go, here are the top 10, right? Confirm. Yes, that's correct. And it's always telling you over here what it's working with. So it's using connectors from Apollo. So it's always going to tell you that. So it just takes a minute for Apollo to pull all that in. And here I can see Apollo IDs. Okay, so it's going to ask me, it wants to use enrichment from Apollo. So I say allow. So it usually asks you, Cowork will ask you before it does anything that's like interesting. So we built a system kind of like this for Jackie, using scraping Apollo's free database and then delivering the emails to her inbox. That was before Cowork existed. So now we can just do it right out of Cowork. Okay, so here are my guys. They went in and found them all, right? And gave me the industry. And this is probably what I would have done if I was after something. I would have said, hey, professional services is too broad. I want to get staffing and recruiting in this state or whatever. That would give you all that. Okay, so now I got my people. and I can do a bunch of different stuff at this point. So I can be like, all right, I just want to put them into HubSpot and email them, right? So I could say, enter these as contacts in HubSpot. So now I didn't even tell it was a connector. It's just going to see HubSpot and know, right? So we're going to do that, but I'm going to show you actually how to email the people too, right? So the other part that's really cool about what Anthropic is doing is they've started putting these things called plugins in. And sorry for all the terminology. It's it's using Zapier. Interesting. Okay, we'll do that. Because probably, I bet what it is that the HubSpot thing doesn't let you, like I said before, doesn't let you create contacts. It just lets you read. So I had to use Zapier to HubSpot. So these plugins we're going to use next. And what it does is, so you have your connectors here, right? Plugins is below it. What is plugins? It's a series of instructions that tell Claude how to do things. And Anthropic created a bunch of them themselves. And you can create your own and store them in here. If you've heard the term skills, plugins are collections of skills. And the weird thing is they've started, I just noticed this the other day. So I'm going to browse plugins. They now have one like Apollo is a plugin. I don't really understand how that works, but it's basically just a connector. So this is like another connector that tells it how to use it. So you could actually come in here and install Apollo this way. But what I'm going to use it for today, I've downloaded these. Okay. So this legal one I use to write all my contracts now. It's been trained on, it's got like a whole bunch of skills on how to write and review contracts and NDAs and all these things. And the day that plugin came out, like LegalZoom stock went down 30%. Because people are like, oh, well, I can just do all my legal work like right from here. Now, obviously, with all the caveats that it's not a lawyer and blah, blah, blah. But like, if you're using LegalZoom, this is probably just about as good. And so what I would do is add marketing, right? And it has a bunch of skills you can see here, like brand reviews, campaign planning, competitive brief, email sequencing, and content creation. It'll list all the skills here. And then it'll have connectors associated with it. So you could like, oh, here are all the kind of marketing connectors that they have. So you could put in Ahrefs does SEO, HubSpot, Figma, Canva, blah, blah, blah. So this is something that Anthropic themselves wrote up. So if you were like, hey, I don't know how to structure the emails to my contacts here, you could use the marketing plugin. Yeah, it's still working on this. So why don't we take our people? So what we're going to do is use the marketing plugin to draft an email to these prospects. And now this is where you need to give it context, right? So I might have a service or like whatever it is you do, you might have that connected as a file. So here you can upload it, or at the beginning of this, remember we had the folder that we're working in at the beginning. So if I go to the new task, working in a folder, so I would have it on like, say this was a marketing folder, right? That had all my services and how I talk about them and all that. So that when I'm in this, I can say, and advertise, and see if they are interested in my AI training service. So theoretically, I would have like my AI training service folder, so it would have more context to like develop the marketing for it. And I could be like, give me a series of 5 emails that would go to these people. Okay, so now it's asking me, based on that plugin, what's the tone you want to take, right? In this direct, and I want to be direct and punchy, right? Then it's like, hey, what's the main value prop for it? Hey, you're gonna grow your revenue, right? And then hey, I want you to go to my free workshop. All right, so obviously, if you had stuff in the folder and the marketing plugin was using it, also you can have your own plugins where it's like, hey, this is the way we talk about stuff, this is our style, this is our branding. All those things can be loaded into Claude Cowork as skills and plugins that can be used in this process. And we don't have time to show all that today, but know that that's available. Okay, so it starts drafting emails for me. Okay. So it's going to go through all this. Hey, blah, blah, blah. Here it's going to each person. And now what I can do is say, hey, save these as drafts in my Gmail folder. So I might not want to send these because I want to look at them and tailor them and other stuff. So I would do that. Again, I'm needing to use Zapier because, well, we'll see what the Gmail is now. Before, Gmail was read only. I think they might have added sending, but if not, I hooked up my Zapier so I can send. But I don't want to send it, like I could send it right from here, but that seems a little more dangerous to me. So I want to put it in my drafts folder so I can go review it, right? And then it's like, hey, this is going to take a little while, but if you, so it's going to ask me, do you want to do this? So that's the other thing is like, you can do stuff, you can tell it to do stuff, and then it's always going to ask you before it does it. So you kind of want to read, like, it wants to use Gmail to create a draft from Zapier. Okay, make sure it doesn't say to send from Zapier, right? So you say allow. I say always allow once I know what it is, because it'll keep every draft, it'll come back and ask you again. So if you don't want to be annoyed, you just say always do it. And now it's doing it, right? So now I can do some other things with it, right? So one is I could start adding in other services. So like I talked about that service, Clay. All right, Clay is pretty cool. And Clay can go out and search like 60 databases to enrich the lead further. And it can go find stuff like, hey, you just hired a bunch of people. Hey, you did this, because it's like looking at LinkedIn, it's looking at, venture capital databases, it's looking at all sorts of social media sites. So it can actually find specific information about people, right? So that's where if I were Roderick, I'd be using Clay, right? But more expensive. The other thing I could do is I could say, I want to run this process once a week. So what I could do is say, now we kind of have to wait for this to finish up before I would do it. But I would say, turn the process we just did into a weekly loop that's scheduled every Monday at 8 a.m. Okay, so what it's going to do is turn that into something that happens and gets scheduled here. So we're going to probably, this was actually Weekly Digest, really cool. I just started using it today. And it's actually a plugin that you go get in the plugin. I'll show you where it is. And every Monday at 8 a.m., it goes and reads all my Gmail, Google Drive, HubSpot, a couple other things, and tells me all the stuff that I did last week and things that I didn't follow up on. It actually found an email. Somebody sent me something in LinkedIn that I forgot to respond to, and it told me to go do it. And the reality is, with scheduled tasks, if you guys have heard of OpenClaw, or that kind of thing. This is them trying to kind of do what OpenCloud does a little bit. Because what you can do now is like, obviously, if your computer is off, this task isn't going to trigger. But now you can force it to keep your computer awake. So it'll trigger when you want to. Now, I don't necessarily want it to do that. I don't really care. Like, it's fine if it just does it when it comes online. So I'm going to keep it off. But this scheduled tasks and all that, that's in the last couple of weeks. So I haven't even like built this stuff in yet. Okay, so did we finish? All right, so we have a draft. We'll go check that. Okay, now let's see what it does here. I think I might have to turn it into a skill first, but let's see what it does. And while we're doing that, we can go over here. Where's my drafts? Here we go. Here are all my drafts. Now I can send them. Now I could have Cowork just send them themselves, right? And I can set up more automated systems to do this, and there are services now that are doing this. But the caution here, a couple things. One is if you're going to do this at scale, you do not want to use your own inbox. And what we're doing is we're starting to do more cold outreach to people to get them into the newsletter and to webinars and stuff. And we're going to use like sending services. There's an app called Instantly that has a way to connect into Claude, and that has like special sending systems so that you don't get burned on spam ratings from Google. So if you're going to send like 100 emails a week to random people, and it's, like you could get your email deliverability, you could start getting your email sent into spam inboxes, and that'll hurt your email deliverability. So if you're going to do this at scale, I'd want to integrate Instantly and probably set up a separate Gmail or Outlook that sort of sounds like your main. So it's like OwnerRx, make it like Alan at getownerrx.com. And I would send the emails from there, and Instantly can connect in here, and you can see, you could have it go check the inbox every day and bring you back the messages and see if you need to follow up and all that kind of stuff. But if you're just doing like, Jackie, you were doing like 10 people a day or a week, that's not going to hurt you that much. But like if you're doing this at scale, I'd be careful about email spam and deliverability. All right. So done. Your weekly prospecting loop is scheduled. Here's the recap. It's going to take the weekly prospect outreach. So that's the task. Every Monday, it will search Apollo for these VPs of operations, enrich the top 10, send them as HubSpot contacts, and draft outreach emails. So as long as my computer's on at 8 a.m. on Monday, it'll do this. And then it'll do it as soon as I turn it on. And I can go in there and say, hey, force my computer to stay on all the time too, if I want. So that is how you do it. And now it's here. I have not canceled one yet, but I'm going to. This is my first cancellation, so I'm going to delete it. Also, just to show you real quick, the plugin that I was using there with the weekly digest is, oh no, it's Enterprise Search. Sorry. Enterprise Search is the plugin that I was using, and it has a weekly digest or daily digest as one of its things. So that's what I was using. So I know that's a lot.
Alan, want to see if there are any questions? I think there is one in chat. And anybody else, if you want to ask a live question, raise your hand.
Yeah, I was just going to go through these, make sure I didn't miss anything, right? Oh, the other thing is you don't have to use Apollo. You could go have it browse the web, right? And try to find people too. So, and then just the other things is like what to do with this, right? Find things that are repetitive and tedious, you already know how to do, and are low stakes to start, right? So don't go sending all your top clients like emails every week automatically, right? Start at drafts, small things, and all that kind of stuff, right? And just my commercial, I am doing the next AI cohort coming up where we train on this stuff. And Rob was in last one, I think. And we're actually moving most of it to be about this cowork now because it's more power. That only became available halfway through the last cohort. So now we're going to teach you how to do all this stuff, mainly in cowork. Next time, you get a $200 discount if you use the 21 Hats code for the next week. Rob, what do you got?
First of all, just a quick commercial for you. And I have a Substack post where I mention the course and how it helped me. Not only helped me personally, but gave me a sense of where all this is going and lit the fire under me to start an AI first initiative at my company. So thanks for that.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I have three questions. I'm gonna stick them all in one, and then you can answer it any way you want. One is I read somewhere that people are using a Mac Mini with OpenClaw. If you wanted to run these things on using Claude Code 24/7, is the idea behind the Mac Mini? It's kind of like low power. Is that why people are doing that? And would it work with Cowork?
Yeah, so two reasons people are doing that. One is there are plenty of virtual services in the web where you could pay $5-7 a month and it'll run 24/7 for you. And there's a lot of options for that. People are using MacBooks for OpenClaw because OpenClaw has a lot of security problems. So one is keep it off my main machine so it can't go in and like exfiltrate all my files. Right. And so they wipe the Mac Mini. The second thing is Mac Mini is cheap and pretty capable. And so leaving it on 24/7, it's easier to do. But the reality is, like, if I just use this and have the don't go to sleep thing, it's the same thing. Right. So the Mac Mini is a little bit of like a stylistic.
Gotcha.
It's not really necessary. Mostly I think people started it for the isolation factor so that it's not touching other stuff in your machine.
Yeah, thank you. The other two questions. Do you see Cowork becoming like a multiplayer thing where multiple people can access the agents? Not the data is obviously accessible if you save it in a shared space, but where multiple people at your company can access the agent and make changes. And the second part of that question is, how scalable is this? If you wanted 1,000 emails going out a week, do you think that this could withstand that kind of
Yeah, because it's going to send. At that point, I would be using Instantly, right? Not my own email, because you're going to get killed, right? But yeah, instantly, because really what you're doing is populating Instantly and instantly sending it. It can send thousands, tens of thousands. So yeah, 100% scalable. On the first question, really interesting. I think so. We built a system where we're using a database that seeds the skills to everybody, and we're building actually a way to version the skills and control access to them. So we're doing it ourselves right now, but 100% these guys are doing it. Anthropic has an enterprise account now where they allow you to centrally provision skills. But the problem with Anthropic's approach right now is it's still a little too machine-based, individual machines. So I think Microsoft's approach would be, hey, we're going to, instead of that file that is hooked into Claude Cowork on your desktop, it's going to be a cloud file in your SharePoint. And they will have, this is an assumption. The features are not out yet, but I assume that they're going to have central skill administration. Now, the problem I see right now, and they're also going to have a database attached to your account. So unfortunately, Cowork is now, or Copilot's going to go from $30 to $99 as a result of some of these features. That's just how they decided to price it, but it'll have like vector store of all your data inside your 365 account, and it'll be auto hooked into your email, calendar, Teams stuff, right? So that's what Microsoft's going to try to do. I find a problem. I think what they're going to have to figure out is that skill setup, the way Anthropic and Microsoft are doing it, is top down. So skills are only created at the top and provisioned down. Anything you created on your computer is on your computer. So what we're doing is we actually attached our own database in with a way for someone to create skills and load them into the database. But we don't want everyone. I mean, we're 3 people, so whatever, it's not going to be a big deal. But if we were going to scale that, we just do role based, where like if you're not an admin, you have to get approval from somebody else to load the skill. But that way we keep the skill. The skills are coming from the bottom up and top down. Because if it's all top down, I have a feeling you're going to have thousands of shadow skills on people's computers that aren't tracked. And now we're back to the same problem we had before. So I think they're going to have to figure that out, but no one knows yet.
Thanks.
Yeah, Mars.
Question from Mars.
First, thank you for this. This is phenomenal. What I've now taken away is that I did not allocate nearly enough time this week to play with what I just learned about. So you've helped me ruin my schedule.
Try 10 hours a day, Mars. That's sort of my budget. And
it's still not enough, right? It's still not enough.
No, it's still not enough. No.
So for someone who is I'm definitely interested in this. This sounds really neat. Also, pretty small business. And so sometimes like death by 1,000 subscriptions or subscription creep is definitely a legitimate concern. I guess what I'm asking is not so much convince me of the value, because I see that there's value here. It's, could you just kind of help me figure out, is the best way to approach this to say, hey, I want to spend X amount of money on this and see what I can do with it. And so like, just say, hey, I want to spend $1,000 and see how much I can automate or efficiencies I can leverage. And then if it's worthwhile, then I continue with these subscriptions. Is that in a good framing to approach this? Or is there a different framing in your experience that might just help, help the business owner be like, okay, yeah, let's sign up for Zapier and sign up for Claude and sign up for whatever else we need to sign up for?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're talking about a price point a lot lower than that. I mean, I think you're talking about $20 a month, cancelable at any time. And Zapier, I don't know, like I'd have to go to Tanya to find out what our Zapier bill is, but we're not doing that many. You're charged by the number of times you use it, and it's like pennies. So I think you're talking about a couple $100, and you could power your entire organization off of that. So I think it's like almost nothing. It's really a time budget to do the work, to like understand it's not even like how to use it. There's a little bit of that, right? How do I connect a connector? How do I use a plugin? I mean, the 4th time you do it, you'll be like, oh yeah, I get it. It's really like just thinking through, like I noticed this today, it just came up. They put this in because they're like, well, how do people use it? So they're trying to get people ideas, like here are all the different, hey, I can triage an incoming ETA, right? I can build a data dashboard. I mean, so let me show you the other thing I did. I did this as part of the last cohort, but I made up a fictional consulting firm, right, called Solder Consulting. And I had Claude create 3 years of financial statements for it. And then I went out and had Claude research simple numbers and the power of one, like the 2 financial things I like, and build a dashboard skill for that company. Now, this is running off of CSV files. This is the PDF version. Sorry, let me get the dashboard. This is running off of PDF files, off of CSV files that I had to create, right? And it basically went through and asked me a few questions about what I wanted and then built this dashboard for me. And so here's this fake company, right? And it did like an analysis showing my cash flow is under stress. I could break down my revenue. It just did all this for me, right? it did a margin analysis. Actually, this is the one I didn't use the simple numbers on this. There's another one with that in here. Maybe it's that one, but I'd have to go find it. But anyway, so this is just using its the financial plugin from here, plugins, finance. And it just built this for me.
I need to allocate more time for this. This is a new hobby.
You got it. I mean, it's like, I say it's better than watching TV. It's or they call it Roblox for adults, right? Let's see if QuickBooks, I can't remember if they have a connector yet. But so you can Zapier, I could definitely make it so I could just download my QuickBooks as soon as it closed and it would repopulate the dashboard. Let me see if they've got a connector yet. I doubt they do. Yeah, Intuit's so bad. So I would go through Zapier and do that.
Quick follow-up then on that. So if I have like a dashboard and let's say that I wanted to have this dashboard automatically update, like you said, you've explained how that could be possible. What would be an easy way to say share that with members of my team or with the whole team?
Difficult. So you're anticipating each step, right? So I can share it by emailing it, right? I can make it into, like I did, I took that report and that dashboard and said, turn it into a PDF, right? And then email it to my 10 people or whatever, 5 people. And so I could then go into Claude Cowork and say, hey, every week, every month on this date, download the QuickBooks, rerun the dashboard, turn it into a PDF and send it to the people. Or I could say, hey, I want to put this on the web, right? And then I want to create authentic, because I don't want my numbers on the web. I'm going to have authentication into my app. Now we got to start bringing in other services. All right. So all the vibe coding people are like, well, you could go to Lovable and do that, right? And build your own thing. Or you could go to Vercel. Vercel's a web host, right? So it's like, hey, every time you do this, now I need a connector to Vercel to push it to the web. Oh, and then I need authentication. Well, Vercel's authentication is really expensive, so I'm going to go use Supabases and blah, blah, blah. So there's like a way, like each step goes more advanced, right? And there's like ways to do it, but it's probably a little bit beyond this here. Hey, Katie, what question do you have?
I have a question. There's obviously so much power here and it's changing quickly. One of our challenges is like getting people's attention and actually reading emails. And I'm sitting here thinking like, how many emails do you get a week that you just ignore? So when you think about the prompts that you're giving AI that actually leads to successful open rates in terms of this automation, what have you been experimenting with that actually gets people's attention? Or like, what's your success metric?
We were just talking about that this morning. So I would say I don't have any answer that
nothing
Jackie
profound.
has
I mean,
a better answer
we're all
than I do.
playing this game. Yes.
Right. But the other thing that's coming out now is people are starting to A/B test, and we actually just started looking at this. This goes a little way past where we are, but this thing called auto research by this guy, Andre Karpathy, who came up with the term vibe coding. He was an early OpenAI employee, and he actually built this little free open source thing that you can use to try to run experiments and see what works. And if you have a defined metric like open rate or reply rate, it can maximize to that. And there are ways to do that we're looking at, but like there's no like perfect thing at this point, right?
Yeah.
Hey,
We've
Alan, I
been
can jump
talking
in
a lot
quick.
about like AI slop and how do you differentiate and how different that's been in a year. So that's a big conversation, but
Alan and Katie, I think Jackie, if she's still here, does have a good answer to this question.
Yeah,
I do.
Go for it.
Okay. So, hey, Katie, I'm Jackie. I run a marketing agency, so I'm happy to weigh in. It starts first, and this is what we do for ourselves, and we recommend everybody do for themselves or your clients. It's not about mass emailing strangers where you researched a list or bought a list. It's about talking to people who have subscribed. I mean, you still have to follow the rules.
Yeah.
And so even our 10 leads a day, we're not plugging them in to MailChimp and blasting them out because they didn't ask for it. So your open rates are still going to be contingent on opting in. And so invite them to something to get them to opt in. Invite them to download something of value. Don't mass email. That's a one-on-one. We start with LinkedIn. So it's a direct message. It really is one-on-one. Secondly, yeah, if you are selling, that is going to be slop, whether you wrote it or the AI wrote it. If you are serving, if you are providing a resource, if you are being a help, that is going to get you a lot further. And so just in terms of best practices, follow the rules.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. Thank you.
Sure.
Yep. It doesn't change the rules. It helps you do them faster.
Any other questions? Wow.
Cool. I would seriously just recommend everyone take a look at Cowork. I mean, they're putting out stuff every week or two, and it is the future of work, I think, that we're seeing being created in front of our eyes. It's fascinating. It's really fascinating time. So, and I think they are clearly, like, I wouldn't have said this 3 months ago, but they are clearly the leader right now by far. So it's $20. It's not that bad. Cool. Well, thanks everybody.
Nice work, Alan. I'm a little surprised you don't have more questions. You must have done a great job.
Well, anybody can email me if you want. My email's right here, alan@ownerx.com. Sign up for the cohort if you'd like. Got 200 off right now. If not, just experiment. It's worth it. Thanks, guys. Oh, Trisha, you have a question? Or is that by mistake? You're on mute.
Well, so since we have a second, it's just a fast one. Have you played, do you have experience with building the MCPs and the difference between that versus the connectors that are embedded into Claude Cowork?
So the connectors in Claude Cowork are MCP connectors.
All right, so it's coming through PAWS versus me doing it manually. That's fantastic.
Right.
Awesome.
So we just built our first couple of custom MCP servers.
Yeah.
And that stands for Model Context Protocol, by the way. So no reason to know what it means. It just means like a way that apps connect. And they're pretty easy to build. So
Claude, yeah, I did. I mean, Claude took me through building an MCP. And so I was going to build more MCPs, but I don't need to create extra work if there are some that are already embedded.
Oh, yeah. Don't create extra work. The only reason to build them is like we built, like when I talked about that database where we serve the skills and stuff out of, so we have them all central and they're not on people's machines. We had to build an MCP server to that database. Okay. And then we had to figure out how to authenticate. And that was actually an interesting lesson because Claude usually just defaults to what it's been trained on. It doesn't search the web first. And so it wasn't trained on how to do authentication for MCP servers because it didn't really know about that. So it did it wrong. And then I was like, oh, go research it on the web. And then it fixed it and it was fine. So anyway, that's cool. It works.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for attending. I have recorded this and I will make it available as soon as possible. All right, guys. Have a good one. I want to be where Trisha is. It looks a lot nicer than where I am. So yeah. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.